What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you guys 5 tips to level up as high school filmmakers. So let's get started. Alright, tip number 1. That is, you have to learn everything about writing, directing, shooting, and editing. So as a director and filmmaker, you have to learn all of these things. You can't just learn how to film and not worry about story. You can't just write a story and not know how to edit. So basically you gotta learn everything, either through YouTube videos or online classes or anything. You just have to make sure you know all aspects of filmmaking. Because when I'm making my movies, I have to know how to write a good story, and then I would have to learn how to direct the actors as well as film the movie, and then once all of those are done, I have to start editing the movies. So it's not like a one job thing, you have to learn all of these about making movies, so that's super important. Alright, tip number 2. So you have to know that everything has a purpose in a movie. Basically, if you're going to be doing a certain shot, it has to make sense. If you're doing a zoom, it has to mean something. You can't just do it because it looks cool. If you're doing a long shot, it has to mean something. It has to serve a purpose in your movie. So just don't do stuff just because it looks cool. Don't have, a random dinosaur skull head in the background for no reason if it has no purpose in the movie. So just make sure when you're filming, you're consciously thinking about everything you're doing and making sure everything you're doing has a purpose. Because if they don't, then what's the point of having it besides it looks good? Because looking good isn't everything. So when I was preparing to shoot Blue Dusk, this western movie I made, I had all the angles planned out, and they all had a certain meaning. Why was I shooting from this angle? Why did I include this in the shot? Everything had a purpose in the movie, so you just make sure you're conscious about that stuff. So tip number 3 is add some movements to your camera, but not too much. Because I see a lot of filmmakers, they would like to make all these long shots, super insane, camera movements, they're all tilting all over the place, and all these crazy movements, but most of it don't mean anything. That's kind of ties in with tip number 2. But it's okay to have some movements, some movements might be better than no movements. It all just depends on the film. But just don't overuse, camera movements, because then it just makes you look like an amateur. When I was shooting the reunion, right, I had this one long take, but then I had all these close-ups and all these different shots. So, it just makes sense to not have all camera movements, because most of the time it really doesn't make sense. And even 1917, sure, it's a long take, right, the whole movie, but they also had a bunch of shots where it's not just moving the whole time. They had stationary shots and a bunch of different shots, so just make sure you're not overusing camera movements. Alright, so tip number 4 is to know that gear does not matter at all. You can literally film a movie with a phone or a webcam or literally anything. So just don't have gear hinder you. And all these film schools that maybe you're applying to in the future, they don't care about gear either. They care about your ability to tell stories through movies. So just hone in that skill and make sure you learn more about how to film than what gear to use to film, because that doesn't matter. If you're gonna shoot a blockbuster movie with a horrible story, that's not gonna be as good as a super short story, minimal gear, and a super good powerful storytelling. So just know that gear does not matter. Just go out, use your phone and shoot, because that's what I started with. I literally started off using my phone to film, so you can do it too. Alright, so tip number 5, this is kind of a fun one, but every time you make a movie, make a poster for it. This is for me at least, it motivates me a lot to make another movie. Every time I make a movie, I print out a movie poster of this movie, and it has the whole design and everything. And every time I walk in the room and I look at it, I'm just well, this is so dope. Let's make another movie, because I want another poster in my room. So this is just a fun one. Just every time you make a movie, print out a poster to motivate you. But if that doesn't motivate you, you don't have to do it. It just motivates me, and I think that probably would motivate you as well. Alright, so in conclusion, tip number 1, make sure you learn all about writing, directing, shooting, and editing, not just one thing. Alright, and then tip number 2 is make sure everything in your movie has a purpose. Don't do random things just because it look cool. Tip number 3 is make sure you have a little bit of movement, but not too much movement, because that's just going to make your film look bad. Tip number 4 is that gear does not matter, so go out and shoot with your iPhone or any type of cell phone. And then tip number 5 is print out movie posters to motivate you. Anyways, I hope these tips help you in your filmmaking endeavors. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.